Hey, Brian here from quantlabs.net, pursuing my challenge, as I will call it, from developing a Matlab M script file, basically your model or your algorithm, converting it into C sharp. It ain't as easy as it looks. Um, I've come across a fairly recent posting here at mathworks.com. This is the URL. In their file exchange. It's deploying a shared library in C++ using the Visual Studio or even the GCC in a Linux environment. So this will work for Linux, even Mac I'd imagine, and Windows using the Visual Studio compiler. Funny thing is everything's on the command line, so you're not really going through the Matlab GUI. And essentially what happens is there's two parts. There's the multiple shared library, and then there's also the deploying just the multiple shared creating shared libraries and DLLs. So essentially this is the URL that you would need, and basically what you would do is to download some source code, which can be found in here, the source code right here. I've already done that, so this is what it will look like. So essentially you have two M files, one called decrypt and one called encrypt, and that will just encrypt using some kind of encryption and ciphertext, I believe, and it just does a basic encryption from text and a key back and forth, and I'll show you how that works. But we're not really worried about that. We're just worried about how to convert these to Matlab M files to C++, and it does seem a little hairy. I won't say little; it is hairy. And here's the other one, the encrypt, and I just showed you the decrypt. So let's get to work. Essentially, you need to run this command on your command line. I'm obviously on Windows, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to navigate to that directory that is with all the source code. I'm going to run this command and let it rip. Now, just so you know that this is a Matlab C compiler. Obviously, it comes with Matlab, and off it goes, and it does its thing, converting to C, I believe. As I said, this is all explained in the tutorial here, and it will create a DLL and a proper header file when you run this command with all these flags and whatnot. And remember, we're converting the encrypt and decrypt M script files. So everything looks good. It has run successfully. I don't see any errors, but there shouldn't be anyways. So essentially that's what is created, is this library, DLL, and the header file. So here's the header file right here, and the library is right here. Alright, so that's what's created, and then there's a C++ code as well for both encrypt and decrypt. So these are the entry points for both within the Matlab M script files, and basically these are the signature of the definitions you need in your C++. So essentially we have here our C++ source file, which we create, and and this would be it here. Okay, and basically the breakdown is you need to include this lib header to define it, the usual definition on your main, as well as this is where it gets really wonky, as defined by Matlab, and you use this thing called MV array where you need to essentially let me just show you that. As you could tell, it is kind of hairy and I'm not a fan of it, to be honest, but I just thought I'd show it to you. So essentially this right here is in your encrypt, I believe. Yeah, this is your text, your plain text. Here's your key right here, and this result is the result, which would be this. So you have to define 3 variables within your veneer C++ file, as I showed you earlier, like this. And then you need to also do some other encrypting. You set a flag and it'll call the proper Matlab encrypt M file or the decrypt, and you also have to tear down your library calls for Matlab. So there's a bit of actually quite a bit of overhead with this, and that's the source code for the veneer C++ program or source file, this one right here, and this is it here, and here's a teardown and all that fun stuff. Alright, so now we need to do an mbuild to create the executable, linking it with the libveneer lib file that you just created in the step before. So let's do that. So off we go. Okay, so that's going to create our executable and other files as well. So now we can run our veneer executable. Actually, let me show you that. So here's our veneer executable and some other files that are created in that mbuild process. But now we can run our veneer with this encryption flag and the text and the key. So off she goes, takes a little bit, boom. But you see how slow it is. That won't work in a HFT environment. I don't think that'll run too well. So that's not really an option. So let's do the decrypt. And that's what's expected. So all in all, that's the shared library. But there is another example if you want to do a multiple library, which is defined right here. Here's the URL for that. Nothing special. And yeah, that's it. It's very, very honestly not worth it. It's probably one of the original ways to extend C++ into Matlab. But I don't know. It's just something I think you're better off to use the coder if you can, depending upon what functions you are using within Matlab. Hopefully it'll help you out.